This video is all about Mutu food, about some of the foods which should be featuring more or for the first time in your diet now that you're well into your Mutu system, and some foods which hopefully are not featuring at all in your diet if you're hoping to lose fat around the belly or anywhere else for that matter. I'm also going to show you some of the foods which fall into a kind of grey area. Sometimes they're considered healthy and sometimes they're not. In fact, sometimes they can be healthy and sometimes not. And I'm going to show you the things to look out for on labels and the kinds of ingredients that you want to be avoiding and those you want to be going for. Let's start with the good stuff. This is all the stuff that you know you should be eating more of. Lots and lots of fresh fruit, fresh vegetables, real foods with no ingredients lists at all. There's some nice sugar-free peanut butter, there's loads of fresh tree nuts, good oils, eggs for omegas and protein, yogurt unsweetened, organic, beans in tins. Now, some of these brands may not be familiar, depending on where you're watching this video from, but the ingredients and the actual products themselves will be available to you. Obviously, all of the fresh fruit and vegetables, depending on what's seasonal for you and what's local to you. There's oat cakes, there's tea bags, herbal tea bags, oat milk, organic yogurt, and plenty of fresh fruit and veg. Cereals, there's some spelt unsweetened based cereal there. Your protein here is coming from vegetable-based sources such as pulses and beans, from your eggs, from your yogurt, and of course you can also be getting protein from fresh fish and lean meat and poultry. Do make sure that your meat is free range, at least organic ideally. And yes, this really is the contents of my own kitchen cupboard. And here's some of the stuff that you probably shouldn't be eating if you actually want to lose any fat from around your midsection or from anywhere else on your body. You know this stuff. It's pure refined sugar, it's chips, crisps, cookies, it's beer, and it's processed meat in processed pastry. You don't need me to tell you, especially after having read your Mutu food section, that these foods are not going to assist you on your weight loss goals. I'm just looking at the ingredients section here on this meat pie. I don't think I can really make it focus, to be honest, but what you can see is how long this list of ingredients is. One of the rules of Mutu food is, quite honestly, if an ingredients list is this long, you probably don't want to be eating what's in it. I'll read it to you for the bits that you can't. The main ingredient is water, followed by flour, followed by 13% chicken. This is a chicken pie, which is only 13% chicken, and that chicken is made up of maltodextrin, dextrose, that's sugar, water and salt. The following ingredient is vegetable fat. The next one after that is pasteurised whipping cream, followed by gravy powder. I'm not really sure any of those are really going to be helping with your diet very much. So probably best to avoid those. And as I say, these are the foods, you know these are not good for you. You don't need me to tell you. And I couldn't bring myself to buy any more than these to film for you, sorry. But obviously also into this section would go all of your pre-packaged foods and your ready meals or ready-to-eat meals, frozen pizzas, etc., etc. This is the grey area we were talking about. These are foods that it's slightly less obvious whether they are going to be good for you from both a health point of view and from a weight loss point of view or not. For instance, some of these are cereals clearly marketed at children, a lot of them. They say that they're fortified with vitamins. But if we actually look at the ingredients, if I can find them on there, and again, I don't know if you can focus on this, but what the main ingredient is processed rice, the following ingredient is sugar, the third ingredient is chocolate, which is made up of sugar and cocoa, followed by fat-reduced cocoa powder, followed by salt. Just have a look at the labels of the stuff that you're eating and that you're feeding both yourself and your kids. If the second ingredient is sugar after a processed grain, you can be quite sure that that is literally just going to go straight into your bloodstream as sugar and going to do your weight loss goals, no favours at all. Here's another one, yogurt. Well, yogurt's good for you, right? Not this type of yogurt, it isn't. This one is basically, again, let's have a look at some ingredients. The main ingredient is yogurt. Well, that's encouraging, followed by sugar, followed by chocolate, followed by cocoa, followed by more sugar. Not particularly. That's a dessert. That's not a yogurt. That's certainly not a health food. This bread, brown. When it says brown, that very often does not. That's not the word you're looking for. You want the words that say whole wheat or whole grain. If flour is just brown, which on the ingredients on this particular loaf of bread, it is listed as brown flour, that means processed white flour coloured with caramel. Okay, so what you're not getting is a whole grain. So don't be fooled by this just brown on the pack. You need it to say whole grain or whole wheat. It could obviously, if it was spelt bread or rye bread, it would be a whole grain of that grain. An area that's often really misunderstood is soya, and lots of people that are trying to cut dairy, for instance, out of their diets may start replacing a lot of those products, whether it be yogurts, milks, desserts, with soya products. Now, you need to be very careful with soya. Soya is what we call a phytoestrogen. What that means is that it is a plant-based product that behaves like estrogen in the body. Estrogen, like insulin, is a fat-storing hormone. Now I'm putting it very simplified there, but basically what you don't want is too much estrogen in your body, and an excess of soya products causes exactly that, estrogen dominance, which leads to increased insulin production, which leads to increased fat storage. So be really careful with the soya stuff. Do try and get, if you are going to eat soya products, go for the organic ones, but just don't go mad on it. Don't replace every dairy product with a soya product. Go for the oat milks, the almond milks that we talked about, the goat's cheeses, sheep's yogurt, goat's yogurt. There are plenty of other alternatives. Don't get too hung up on soya. Too much of it is not good for you, not from a health point of view or from a weight loss point of view. As with all aspects of the Mutu system, Mutu food, again, is something that you need to keep in perspective. If you have a glass of wine, or you have a pizza, or you eat some chocolate, the world is not going to stop turning. You just won't lose belly fat that day. So just take that on board, enjoy whatever it is that you had, and move on. Make sure that at least 80% of your diet falls into the good stuff range that we've talked about, the real natural foods, which don't have ingredients lists. Try to stay away as much as you possibly can from those danger areas of the hydrogenated or trans fats, the high sugar foods, all the stuff that you really know that you shouldn't be eating if you want to have a slimmer waistline. And hopefully you're a little clearer on some of those grey areas of so-called health foods that maybe aren't.